So it's finals week at the high school that I teach at, and my students asked me, so what are you gonna do when you're administering the finals? And of course I mischievously said, well, I'm gonna just go play some video games and read some manga. Ah, yes, to be a teacher during the most insufferable week for the students. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Prof Otaku, and welcome back to my channel for my November manga reading log. We read a good chunk of volumes this month. We've completed some series, some ups, some downs. We've started some series, ups and downs as well. Lots of great things to talk about. I cannot wait. Stay tuned. As always, before we get started with this reading log, no spoilers. I will never tell you what specifically happens in a volume. If it's a start of a series, I just want to tell you some good characteristics about it. If it's an ongoing series, is it going in a good direction? If it's an ending to a series, did the ending wrap up well? And let's start off with finishing a completed series from Udon Entertainment, one that I finished from October in my spooky season. This is Summertime Rendering. I read omnibuses 5 and 6, which compiled volumes 10 to 13 of the series. Overall, I was very satisfied with this ending. A solid ending all around. It was very conclusive. However, I did feel like there were some concepts that got introduced that didn't get shelled out enough. There were some characters that didn't get the fleshed out storylines that I was hoping for. But I feel like in terms of a concise and very interesting and intricate storyline, Summertime Rendering just really hit it out of the park. A fantastic story, a phenomenal read overall, and one that really rejuvenated my love for manga. I cannot recommend this series enough. A solid 9 out of 10. Moving on to the Kodansha Vertical Conglomerate, another series that I finished this month at 7 volumes. I read 2 volumes physically and then the other 2 digitally. Welcome Back Alice, volumes 4 to 7. A very interesting Shuzo Oshimi series, to say the least. For those of you who don't know what the story is about, it is a love triangle following a transgender student and then another boy and a girl. I thought it was okay. I think that I understand the messaging that Shuzo Oshimi is trying to do, but I feel like it's just convoluted with all the sexual stuff going on. You have these characters who are trying to turn over a new leaf, but they continue to take 2 steps backward because they're trying to fulfill the sexual angst of the manga, and I just felt like it continued to go in that direction all the way up to the very end, and then it just kind of goes to a different direction, left field, all this craziness with the characters, and you just kind of sitting back going, what just happened? It just seems very inconclusive. A lot of storylines just didn't line up. Some plot holes in my personal opinion. Is this one that I'm going to keep in my series? Absolutely not. I do plan on selling this off. I give it about a 5.5 out of 10. Next up is an ongoing series that thoroughly surprised me. A total out of left field manga read this month, and I was like, man, I'm just really happy that I picked this up and started reading this again. We have Phantom of the Idol volumes 4 and volume 5 right here. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on this manga specifically, I do have several videos on my channel talking about Phantom of the Idol, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this ongoing read. I kind of forgot how much I loved it. The art is great. The storyline is very concise. Lots of great life lessons in here as well about achieving your goals and never giving up. I love the whole cast of characters, and I just cannot recommend this manga enough. And last here from Kodansha Vertical, we have volume 15 of Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro. This volume needed to do something really special for me to continue on with it, and it did something really special, and I cannot wait for the next volume. There are some really strong events that happened in this volume, some really strong assertions being made by specific characters, and I think that this just brought this manga a whole step forward, and that is exactly what it needed. A wide variety of interesting reads from 7 Seas. Let's start with a new series that I started this month. We have the omnibus format of Homunculus, volumes 1 and 2. Now, this one's a crazy one that I normally wouldn't gravitate towards. I went with this for the hype, and it follows this main character right here. He is down on his luck. He gets a surgery to put a hole in his head. He wakes up and he has the ability to see these homunculi, or these inner psychological torments in these people's bodies and minds, but it's expressed as an actual physical thing. Of course, these homunculi also express his inner demons as well, and it's a really interesting journey of self-discovery and also these crazy horror homunculi. I think that the main character is super interesting. I think the story premise itself is really unique with the homunculi. I really enjoy the artwork, and I enjoy how it flows from panel to panel. There's really some detailed stuff in here, which is cool. I love the homunculi and the designs of them. I think that they're really interesting and unique. The big issue I had with this manga was the pacing. I thought that the pacing at the beginning was super slow. I thought that there was too much info dumping in the second volume of this omnibus. I am curious to see how it goes. I've continued to pre-order this series specifically, but with that being said, I have my reservations, but I'm intrigued. Now, on a complete 180, we have two very, very wholesome reads. We have volume 3 of Gap Papa, Daddy at Work and at Home. This is probably one of my favorite series of 2023. I did love the variety of this volume. I love the new characters that were introduced that brought some different flavors to the table. I did miss that we got away from our main family from a little bit, but with that being said, I still think it's a very good direction, and I just cannot wait to see what else comes up. And the last volume from Seven Seas is volume 8 of Skip and Loafer. This is a continuation of the big mic drop moment that happened in volume 7. And what are my thoughts on this volume? I understand why they did the things that they did in this volume and the direction that they took. Is it the direction that I personally wanted? No, not necessarily. Do I feel like that it was a bit rushed? Absolutely. If we're looking at it in a spectrum, it went like view and then it went all the way down and then it stabilized itself out literally within 2 chapters, and I'm, as a reader, just sitting back going, whoa, 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 what's going on? I also felt that the emotions expressed by our MCs and the messaging that's trying to be portrayed here were a little bit off-putting, maybe a little bit too contrasting to what we've seen from this manga in the past. That's my personal opinion. I'd be very curious to see what other people think. Nonetheless, I still love Skip and Loafer. I think that this is a quintessential slice of life manga that everybody needs to have in their collection. Moving on to Viz Media, I started 2 series. I completed 1. The first is a 2-volume series, Mermaid Scales and the Town of Sand. It was a 2-volume omnibus that I read on the Viz Manga app, and I did a whole YouTube short on this series, a manga series that you should avoid at all costs. I highly recommend you check out that short to find my personal opinions on the video. If you haven't figured it out by now, I didn't like it at all. And the last series that I dived into from Viz Media is a top 10 manga on my anime list. My first Takahiko Inoue work. I decided to start Slam Dunk. I read volumes 1 to 14. I plan on having a whole video out on this series, specifically comparing Slam Dunk to Haikyuu, because I feel like that's like the ultimate debate of what is the quintessential sports manga in the manga industry. But what I will say about Slam Dunk right now is that obviously I am thoroughly enjoying the series. When we talk about the personality of Slam Dunk compared to Haikyuu, it is not nearly as serious as an overall manga. The main character is definitely more goofy. There are more flavors of delinquency in the Slam Dunk manga, which I like because I do enjoy delinquent manga. But with these different vibes comes some different personality things that come out not only in our characters but within our storyline and with how the action unfolds. It's an interesting direction. Is it one that I enjoy personally? Well, you're gonna have to wait for that video to find out. But as you can see, I am thoroughly binging this series. I should be finishing this up in December, and I cannot wait to tell you what I think of the ending. And the last publisher we are talking about in this reading log is Yen Press. As always, thanks so much to Callista and the team over at Yen Press for continuing to send me manga on their behalf to review on the channel so that I can put some new things on your radar. First up here is volume 2 of The Summer Hikaru Died. I continue to enjoy this series. It's good, it's not great. I still feel like that the pacing is too slow and the messages that they're trying to say within one volume can be very redundant. I feel like the story just needs to progress faster. But with that being said, it is creepy, the artwork is great, the mystery is really intriguing, and I keep wanting to learn more and more about this series, so I can't wait for the next volume. Next up here is volume 3 of She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat, an LGBTQ+ series. This was fantastic. New character got introduced. I love the direction of this series. I feel like everything about this series is A+, from the cooking to the eating to the relationship to the different messages that it's trying to say with our characters. They're all super deep and they have really meaningful backstories, and it really tugs at your heartstrings. This is a total underrated work that everybody needs to read. Here we are with my first Clamp series, one I had high anticipation for. We have volume 1 of Tokyo Babylon, and honestly, I don't really understand what the hype was about. I was really surprised about how much I didn't necessarily enjoy this. It was so mid-tier in my opinion. I really don't understand the premise, and I felt like there was no overarching goal in this first volume. I mean, it's just basically an exorcism manga set in this Neo-Tokyo world. I mean, what's the spin? What's the catch? The only big thing is that there's comedy and then there's some weird BL relationship, and I don't know. I really need to give this another chance, but I was just surprised about how I was not expecting what I was expecting, I guess. Another volume 1 that I read was Bocchi the Rock volume 1. I was also very much looking forward to this. I love music manga. I also love 4-Koma slice of life manga. I was very curious to see how this would turn out considering the anime was super good. And you know what I'll say about this is I thought that it was pretty slow actually. I think that the anime would serve this much better after reading the manga. I feel like it would flow a little bit better to see all of the music things playing out. With that being said, I did think it was super cute. I really loved the storyline. I really enjoy all the characters in this manga, especially our main character and her premise about being this guitar god online, but obviously in the real life she's socially just really awkward. It's just a fun manga. I will continue on with this one. The last manga that I read from Yen Press in the oversized format is Glitch Volume 1. It follows these two characters who move to this town, but not everything is as it seems. The world is glitching out. There's some weird stuff happening around town, and that's really all we get from this first volume. It's really creepy. I think the suspense is there. I'm very intrigued to see how this mystery is shelled out, and it kind of immerses yourself into this world really fast. There's some characters that get introduced and you go, whoa, okay, something's up. With this only being a 4-volume series, it's not a heavy investment in your wallet, so I do recommend checking this out if you're into the mystery genre. Here's a fun series, a manga adaptation of a light novel. I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. Volume 1. What a title, but what a great first volume. The story follows this girl who is a guild receptionist, a very cushy job in this fantasy world, but it becomes an overtime nightmare whenever adventurers cannot finish the dungeons that they're trying to fight through. Because of this, she has to stay late at work. She gets really sick and tired of it, so sometimes she will solo these bosses to make sure she clocks out on time. I thought it was really fun. They set up the premise really well, and then they just dove straight into the story. Lots of great story progression in this first volume. This manga adaptation does a great job about moving through that first light novel volume very well and making sure that we're getting all of those awesome action scenes that make this series really interesting. I cannot wait to see how this story continues to progress. Here we are with a new volume 1. We have Cheerful Amnesia. I really love this first volume. It's a Yuri series following this girl right here who wakes up from a coma and she has forgotten everything about her long-term relationship with her girlfriend, and so basically it's like they're starting over this new relationship in this house. It is absolutely hilarious, super wholesome. There are some spicy moments in here as well, but I love the relationship between the characters. I think that the shtick is really well done with this amnesia, and it flows very well as well, and I just cannot recommend this series enough. Very enjoyable. Here we are with the completion to a series. We have Manor of Death Volume 2. This is the Boys Love mystery series from Yen Press, and what will I say about this ending? I definitely should have reread the first volume because I dove right into volume 2 and I was like, what the hell is going on? With that being said, the mystery wraps up about a quarter of the way through the volume, and then the rest of the volume is kind of like what is happening after that, which turns more into about the relationship than the mystery, and it was just such a weird vibe. It took some weird directions. I was like, this just doesn't make any sense. The manga should have ended with the mystery, and that's that. It just felt like it was a different manga that just didn't get shelled out enough. New characters got introduced that just kind of just threw some turmoil in there. I don't know. I really didn't like the second volume. I thought it really detracted from the actual mystery itself from the first volume. I will probably not be keeping this in my collection. Here we are with the volume 3 of a series that I read and I decided to drop. Apparently disillusioned adventurers will save the world. The ultimate party is born. There's nothing wrong with this manga per se, but it just doesn't really grasp me. I think the story premise is interesting enough with these disillusioned adventurers from different parties coming together to form this ragtag team, but the fantasy aspect, the different adventures that they go on just don't really intrigue me. None of the characters are really special in any way. They have fun personalities, but yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, well, it's something in the manga industry realm that I'll read, but yeah, I have other things that I want to read, so 3 volumes is enough. Here's a continuation of a series I absolutely loved from volume 1. Volume 2 was an absolute banger. We have My Dear Curse Casting Vampiress. This volume created some awesome, cool developments. You know what this manga reminds me of is Tokyo Ghoul. So if you really like Tokyo Ghoul, you'll really like this one. There's a good progression in the relationship. There's some nice comical moments as well. I just think that all around this is a very well-written manga that continues to expand on this world and all these different flavors that it has, and it does it really, really well. And the last volume I read this month was What This World Is Made Of Volume 2. This is a 3-volume series. I guess it was fine. Honestly, I don't remember much from this volume. It was really forgettable. I mean, it seems like this world is interesting with this 6 app, and they can go and do these missions to get an exuberant amount of money, and the characters seem relatively interesting. I feel like with a 3-volume series though, volume 2 kind of ended, and I remember thinking to myself, how is this going to wrap up in 1 volume? It just feels like we've just gotten started. So I don't know, we'll see what happens, but it was forgettable. Like nothing really big happened, so probably this is a miss. And that is it for my manga reading log for the month of November. December is shaping up to be something really, really special, and I cannot wait. Lots of great videos in the pipeline to end the year off. Thanks for sticking with me on the channel. It's been a wonderful 3 years. We're about to hit the 3-year anniversary on the channel. I cannot believe that. That is absolutely insane that I have been on YouTube consistently uploading manga content for this long. As always, if you enjoy the content of my videos, make sure you hit that like button, tap the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.